The Jersey Devil. There are many tellings of the origin of this monster, but let me regale you with one of them. In 1735, Mother Leeds had found herself pregnant with her 13th child. Mother Leeds was a poor woman who had long suffered under the darkness of her husband. She did not wish to have a child, as her husband did not provide for the other 12 very well. Thus she exclaimed to the sky, "May this child be the devil." A few months after her declaration, on a dark and stormy night, her wish came true. As she went into labor, she had forgotten about her anger-induced utterance. Her husband and her children awaited her in their Leeds Point home to hear of news of the new baby coming to the family, while Mother Leeds herself was at the home of a midwife giving birth. By all accounts, the birth was routinely normal, a healthy and normal baby boy. Right before their eyes, the baby began to transform into a horrid creature, wailing cries becoming growls. Leather wings sprouted from its back, talons replacing fingernails, feet turning to hooves. The creature turned and savagely attacked Mother Leeds, mauling and killing her before turning its attention to onlookers. It lunged, attacking anything that moved, leaving a bloody and gruesome mess in its wake, before rushing out the door into the Leeds home, where it attacked and killed as many as it could before flying off into the dark woods. This is one of the many forms of this legend, the one found in the book Weird New Jersey on a website of the same name. No matter what legend you look at, no matter which form or version, one thing is common. If you go to the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, if you are unlucky, you will end up face to face with a 13th Leeds child, the New Jersey Devil.
There are many versions of this story. I just decided to have Madame Hellfire read the most graphic of them because she is really good at reading creepy stuff. In some versions, the child morphs, screams, and flies out of the cabin through the chimney without hurting anyone. In some others, the baby has a description before it turns into a monster. The baby is said to have had blonde hair and blue eyes. Still in others, the Jersey Devil kills Mother Leeds only. There seems to be a lot of lore based off the Jersey Devil, that it's sometimes hard to tell what is the original folklore. People in the Pine Barrens will tell you one of these variations, while others will tell you a completely different version that I did not tell you here. Speaking of the Pine Barrens, what is a Pine Barren? Well, it is a swath of land that takes up a good portion of New Jersey. Its soil is acidic due to being underwater during prehistoric times. It's poor for growing crops, but perfectly fine for pygmy pitch pines and other forms of plant life. It is 1.1 million acres of forest that has been designated a national park. It is large and easy to get lost in. They have black bears there, but encounters with black bears are rare. And if you rarely see black bears, that should tell you something about this place. In a lot of areas in the Pine Barrens, the vegetation is so thick it is hard to see what is in front of you. So imagine walking around at night. Probably would be terrifying not knowing what is out there. Now that we have talked about its home, let's talk about the Jersey Devil itself. What the creature looks like is up for debate, but I'm going to show you a clip from the History Channel show Monster Quest so you can look at cheap graphics of what they think it looks like before we go into it.
Eyewitness descriptions of the Jersey Devil vary, from a winged half-bird, half-horse, standing upright on hoof feet with a reptilian tail, to a hairy creature walking on all fours, resembling a cross between a monkey and a dog.
So according to the History Channel, the Jersey Devil looks like BoJack Horseman's LSD dream. But much like the stories, the people of New Jersey can't agree on what it looks like. What doesn't help is there is no video evidence of it or photographs. But one feature is the same: large, bat-like wings. Some say it's 8 feet tall. Some say 3 feet. Some say it has the head of a horse, cloven hooves, a serpent-like tail, and claws on its forelimbs. Others say it looks like a kangaroo with bat wings, while others say a dog with bat wings. As I said, it can vary. Even how it moves varies. Some will tell you that it's bipedal and moves with hops. Others say it walks on all fours. All say it has horns on its head and big red eyes. The creature's weight varies based on the height as well. It can range from 200 to 800 pounds. Really don't know how they came up with that. The creature has never been photographed, so what are they basing its weight on? Its description? I did find some claims of how it sounds. And well, as an animal lover, I do not like how it's described. One person claimed it sounded like the yowls of an injured cat. Here's a clip.
And I'm hearing this noise. I'll never forget this noise as long as I live. The only way I could describe this noise to you would be, say if you were to take a cat and hold it down with your foot and pull its leg off, and the thing started screaming.
Can you duplicate it for me?
Like warbling, like...
Got it.
Yeah, I think this guy was just hearing an injured cat. Then you have this clip.
What could that be?
Opinion, that sounds fake, but I am not an expert. I will go into the sighting they featured on the episode of Monster Quest later, but I wanted to show you the sculpture they made for this show. It looks like a demonic owl. The Jersey Devil name is just the latest name this creature has been called. The name was given after a wave of sightings in 1909. More on that later. But before we go into sightings, let's have a bit of fun and let's go over some of the other names the locals gave this creature. The Leeds Devil, which was its main name before 1909. The 13th Leeds Child. That makes sense. If you need to know why, you really haven't been paying attention. The Wazzlebug. That sounds wrong. The Hoodle Doodle Bird. Not making this up, locals called it the Hoodle Doodle Bird. I am guessing as a way to stop themselves from being scared shitless, because I cannot say that name with a straight face. Well, that and Wazzlebug. People of New Jersey, I love you. Never change. But now that we have had some fun, there have been over 2,000 sightings of the Jersey Devil. I'm going to go over a handful. The story of Lori Winkelmann, the 1909 mass sightings that caused a panic, and the story of Napoleon's brother spotting the creature. First, let's start with Joseph Bonaparte, who was once the King of Spain, until Napoleon was toppled in France and he decided to move to New Jersey. Not making this up, he had an estate in New Jersey. One day in 1820, he was out hunting in Bordentown, New Jersey, when he had an encounter with the Jersey Devil. But looking for the story, it is vague, so I'm going to chalk this up as a legend. If it did happen, then it didn't bother him much because it wasn't well recorded. From January 16th to the 23rd of 1909, a wave of sightings happened. It caused a mass panic. Yay, I just got done talking about one mass panic and here I am talking about another one. This wasn't just in New Jersey or the Pine Barrens either. The Jersey Devil was spotted in Philadelphia. Well, maybe he just wanted some cream cheese. You ever think about that, huh? But here are some other claims. There was a claim that the creature attacked a volley car in Camden, which led police to investigate where they came across the creature. And like all police in the US, they fired upon it, but it didn't damage the creature at all. I was joking, police officers of this country. I respect the ones who do their jobs and couldn't resist making this joke. The same thing happened in Bristol, Pennsylvania, where the police came across the Jersey Devil and tried to shoot it with no effect. The Jersey Devil seems to be bulletproof according to this myth. Oh, and there was one place I forgot to mention, Delaware. It was spotted in Delaware, as well as Maryland. No joke here, it was spotted in Delaware and Maryland. So is it still considered the Jersey Devil if it has been spotted in 4 states? This caused such a panic that schools closed in the areas it was sighted. Parents were encouraged to keep their children inside. But also, vigilante groups and hunters began roaming around the areas it was spotted, and most heavily in the Pine Barrens. It was even rumored that the Philadelphia Zoo put up $1,000 bounty on the Jersey Devil to capture it, not kill it. which led to hoaxes. I will talk about the most famous ones later. But fast forward to January of 2004, a dark, cold night. Lori Winkelmann was playing with her kids in a new fallen snow. As it got close to dinner time, the children rushed inside. But Lori and one of her sons stayed behind to turn off Christmas lights they still had up. As they reached a pole where the lights were hung to shut them off, Lori noticed her son's expression. He was white as a ghost and staring up at the trees. She turned to see what had frightened her oldest child and saw it in the trees. A monstrous creature staring right at them. Their fight or flight instinct kicked in and both began running for the house as fast as they could. But the creature swooped out of the trees and over top of them, landing on the roof. They rushed forwards and in the house. They stayed inside and heard the creature walking on the roof. The entire family heard this thing outside on their roof. And as the day broke, it had gone. Lori's husband walked outside the next morning and inspected the roof. What he saw shocked him. He took these pictures of the footprints spanning the roof. Footprints of a large animal. From the tracks, it looked as though it walked on 2 legs. The footprints were 9 inches by 5 inches and were 4 feet apart. The Winkelmanns called the police, and the police did report the incident. Lori's husband took the photos to a wildlife expert who could not explain what the tracks were of. So what was on their roof that night? Whatever it was large. Too large for a bird. There were no tracks in the snow on the ground, suggesting that it wasn't an animal that ran and jumped onto the roof. And whatever it was nocturnal. There have been many hoaxes that have been made over the years, but I'm going to focus on the 1909 mass sightings because there are a couple of things worth discussing. Footprints were found back then of hoof prints. It had been determined that these were planted there by someone wanting to drum up more excitement over the sightings. But then you have Norman Jeffries, a renowned hoaxer who took the story to a new level. Jeffries would plant stories in newspapers about sightings that didn't happen. But then he decided that he would up the ante. So he borrowed a kangaroo from an animal trainer named Jacob Hope, painted it, and made it look like the Jersey Devil, and then claimed that he had captured the Jersey Devil. He then put the kangaroo on display, displaying it behind a curtain that people had to pay to walk past to see. This was at the Arch Street Museum in Philadelphia. He did all this to drum up business for the Arch Street Museum, but a decade later he decided to come clean that it was all a hoax. So what are people seeing? An unidentified creature, a known creature, or a supernatural one? I am taking supernatural off the list, as I am not talking about boogeyman, and I'm really tired of talking about demons on this channel. The most widely used explanation is misidentification of real animals, including the great horned owl, which is a pretty large owl, but not as large as the Jersey Devil is said to be. But great horned owls are territorial and will attack humans if they feel threatened. And remember that sculpture from Monster Quest? The face has a beak, suggesting some type of bird, with large eyes suggesting a nocturnal bird, and it has horns on the side of its head. My guess would be the great horned owl too, and I'm not the only one who thinks this. A wildlife expert on the show said the same thing. The prints that Lori's husband had taken pictures of are hard to determine what the animal is. Snow is notorious for distorting tracks. What looks like a large creature from the tracks might not be that large. In fact, even in the show Monster Quest, it is suggested that the tracks were made by a bird that was hopping. Birds hop on the ground if you didn't know this. And in snow, it could look like a creature with big feet with a wide span between the tracks. Another suggestion for what the animal could be is a sandhill crane, which is native to the area. It's a long, thin bird with a long neck. It's very large, but lacks the features you would associate with the Jersey Devil. No horns, for instance. No large eyes. Some kind of bat has been brought forwards, like the hammer-headed bat. For this theory, it is suggested that a species of bat was brought over from Africa and now lives deep in the Pine Barrens. A couple of problems with this theory. These bats are not suited to the climate of New Jersey. They are used to warmer climates. And the second, these are fruit bats, and there isn't much fruit in the Pine Barrens. But in my opinion, the most likely misidentification is the great horned owl. Here's why I think this. For one thing, all these shows and articles do not take into account how the brain reacts to things. What we see and what we remember seeing might be two different things. I talked a little bit about this in my Satanic Panic Part 1 video. How the brain has this uncanny ability to blur the lines between fantasy and reality. I am not saying what the people in these stories have seen and experienced isn't terrifying. It probably was. I wasn't there, so I cannot judge what it was. But I can look at these stories with skepticism and come up with theories. But this is all this is. That's just my opinion and a theory on what it could be. If you want to believe that it is an unknown animal, cool. If you want to believe that the Jersey Devil is real, double cool. But really quickly, allow me to tell you a story. A story of the Leeds family, a founding father, and a rivalry that might have started the legend of the Jersey Devil. In 1677, a man named Daniel Leeds created an almanac called the Leeds Almanac. This almanac was a bit controversial in the eyes of the local Quakers. Before they were making oatmeal, they were getting pissed about how Daniel Leeds' almanac held celestial charts that seemed more pagan than Christian. Even after Daniel Leeds issued an apology for upsetting them, they burned copies of his almanac. The Quakers considered him a creepy occult figure, even though, at the time, a lot of Quaker families practiced the occult in secret. In 1716, Daniel Leeds retired, having spent all that time fighting with his Quaker neighbors. Enter Titan Leeds, the son of Daniel Leeds. And well, Titan ended up having competition. From the Poor Richard's Almanac started in 1732, which was written by Ben Franklin. And Ben Franklin was kind of an asshole about this rivalry. How? In the second edition of the Poor Richard's Almanac, Ben Franklin wrote that on October 17, 1733, at 3:28 p.m., Titan Leeds will die, which pissed off Titan Leeds. Titan would call Ben Franklin a fool and a liar, and Ben Franklin found it funny. He replied to Titan's allegations by suggesting that an upstanding citizen like Titan would never say such harmful things. That in Ben Franklin's opinion, Titan was possessed by an evil spirit that said those things, proving that trolling and being petty are the oldest American traditions. After October 17th, Ben Franklin would refer to Titan Leeds as the ghost of Titan Leeds. Ben Franklin kept this up even after the death of Titan Leeds. So the Leeds family pissed off a community with their almanac. Ben Franklin had a hand in suggesting that Titan Leeds was possessed by an evil spirit, and then claiming that Titan Leeds' ghost was still out there long after Titan's death. Add some creativity to that, and what do you have? The Jersey Devil. Oh, and this kind of helps. The picture you are looking at is one of the Leeds almanacs, which always had the family crest on it. Take a look at the crest. Doesn't it look like it would be a drawing of the Jersey Devil? If you are from New Jersey and you believe in the Jersey Devil, cool. Nothing I put in here should suggest that I want to change your mind. I just went over the theories and also my opinions. The story of Ben Franklin and Titan Leeds was not meant to sway you to not believing in an unknown creature that stalks the Pine Barrens. Instead, it should give you more insight into where the origins of the story came from. A story and a beast are two different things. Believe all you want. The Jersey Devil has captured the imagination of not just New Jersey, but the entire world. The Jersey Devil has appeared in Monster Quest as named, but also the X-Files. It had its own video game. New Jersey's hockey team is named after the Jersey Devil. The creature is a part of America, whether real or not. If it is real, hopefully one day we will get a picture of it. If not real, I hope that people continue to use it in pop culture. Next week in our search for monsters, we go around the world. Large felines are sighted in places that they are not supposed to be. In the UK, in Australia, and in the US. Is there pockets of these large felines living in these areas? Are they escaped animals from zoos and circuses? Or are they misidentified animals? Next week, we span the globe looking for alien big cats. Till then,